everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ashley from Generation Schools Network, and today we have a guest speaker, Judy Kochevar from the Hand Truck Company. Let's welcome Judy. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks so much for having me on to speak to your students. And I guess since I'm here, I'm supposed to be talking a little bit about careers. And my career has been really a circuitous route to get to being the owner of a company and of a hand truck company. But because of my education and experience that backed me up, I was able to go ahead and start my own business and kind of knew what I was doing when I started, or mostly what I was doing. It's really hard to start a new business. In terms of a career, everybody's different. Everybody has their interests and gifts. When I was 10, I wanted to be a Marine. That didn't exactly work out. However, my cousin's daughter joined the Marines surprisingly after high school, and now she's in Hawaii learning how to be an air traffic controller. My sister, on the other hand, knew in the 5th grade that she was going to be a teacher, and she had a very successful career as a teacher. And the reason she became a teacher was because she had a great, interesting teacher in the 5th grade, and she set her goals, and so she became a teacher. So now we'll get back to my business here, and that was my start. Whoops, there we go. So I do own the hand truck company. Frontline workers are often injured moving heavy or oversized items in tight spaces. And our multi-directional hand truck, which is the only one made anywhere, we have a patent on it, slides safely into place while preventing injuries and increasing productivity by having one person do the work of two. And we really like the fact that we can reduce injuries in that frontline workspace. So my background is born and raised in Pueblo, graduate of Pueblo Central High School, graduated from Benedictine College with an English major and business minor. I started off when I was in college, I was going to be a lawyer, decided not to go that route because I just figured my memory wasn't quite good enough, but I enjoyed being an English major. I learned how to communicate, how to write, how to research. So that's all come in handy throughout my career. I did pick up a business minor junior and senior year just because I wanted to get into the corporate area or business area. And I was, with my English degree, I just decided I wasn't going to be a teacher. So I went into the business area. And this kind of gives a little background of where I've been and what I've done. My first job out of college was with Campbell Soup Company, and I ended up in Amarillo, Texas, and I had to drive all over the panhandle of Texas, as well as into Oklahoma, New Mexico. So that's why I put the car there, because I was out driving 100 or 200 miles a day to the small grocery stores, as well as some of the larger grocery chains that you see in the big cities. And there's my Campbell soup can. And just an aside from what I learned, in addition to meeting a lot of great people and learning how to communicate with people, once again, treating people with respect. When you're looking for Campbell soup, when you're at the grocery store, you always look on the bottom shelf for the tomato or chicken soup or cream of mushroom, because those are the most popular brands and they're always on the bottom. But at eye level, any of the new products in the grocery store, they're going to be at eye level. So I did that for a while, and I decided that I wanted to get more business background and experience and education. So then I went to Arizona State University to go Sun Devils to get a master's in business administration. And when I was there, I was able to do a couple of pretty cool projects, one with the then minor league baseball team, and then also with a utility company and other small businesses. So they were very hands-on in terms of us learning to work with different industries and different companies. And so my first job out of graduate school was in Billings, Montana, right there. And if you see, I have a oil pumper there, and that's, I worked for Conoco. So Conoco, it's now ConocoPhillips, but at the time I worked for them, it was Conoco, originally Continental Oil Company. And so they were, so what I learned there, I went through a 12-month management training program, which was great. I had to learn a lot about engineering, and the engineers had to learn more about business. So why they had us do that was, as you moved up the corporate ladder, you could understand what was going on operations-wise out in the field, and know what the employees' jobs were, and how the whole operation worked. And just another aside, which I'll give you a little bit of background on here in Colorado, where we get our gasoline and diesel. That actually some of it comes out of Canada, goes into Montana, comes down through Wyoming and into Colorado, and that's all crude oil. Some of the other crude oil stops in Montana and goes through a refinery there. So when that oil's coming into the Denver refinery, when the Denver refinery actually shut down because of cold weather, a couple of months ago, and the price of gas went up, that's the reason is because 40% of our gasoline comes from that one refinery in Denver. So after I finished the management training program, I was promoted and moved down to Texas, down to Houston, Texas. And it's quite a big city. But it was, I got the corporate experience, working with mostly accounting, budgeting. I was in charge of the budget for one of the departments there. Then I was transferred to Atlanta, Georgia. I was still working for Conoco there, but because they have a lot of pipelines that go all the way through Texas, all the way up the East Coast. And so that's how come we had an office there. But I just needed to get back home back to the West, because that's where I'm from. Native of Pueblo, just love my mountains and the states surrounding us. So I did go back to Arizona and then when I went back to Arizona, I was able to get a job as a consultant with Intel. And so I was in the technology business, and that was we worked with the chip companies. I worked with companies, with the departments that made chips for automobiles, for consumers, which meant that all those, how we're all connected to the internet with our houses now, and Ring doorbells and your temperature gauge and everything. So that was the consumer industry. And then I also worked with the military department and because there's a lot of smart weaponry. And so I worked with them too. And essentially what we helped them do was, this was before social media, but essentially my job was in marketing to help them become kind of the influencer in the company, and the company that people went to find out about the industry and all those different areas that become, that have just grown so much. And now Intel is, those chips are everywhere. I mean, we never, when I was working, we didn't have smartphones. But you guys all have the smartphones, which are really mini computers now. So anyway, so that was an interesting business, a high pressure, a lot of work had to be done. I had to fly around a lot. It was a great experience. But unfortunately, when I was working there, I got really sick. And I lost more than a few years of my life. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. I just couldn't get out of bed one morning. Turns out it has to do with my immune system and finding the right doctors and help. It took a while to get back to being able to even be kind of competent part-time. in life and with my jobs. I mean, with trying to get a job actually. And so, but because of my background in business, I said, well, maybe I'll start off with just volunteering. And so I volunteered with an organization called SCORE, which is supported by the Small Business Administration. And what we did at SCORE was, and they still do nationally, Pueblo no longer has a SCORE office. It's similar to the Small Business Development Center in that we help the small businesses start a business and or grow their businesses and kind of do consulting for them. So my consulting background came in handy there also. And then I started thinking, let's see, what could my next step be? Well, I figured that one of the things that I could do part-time with businesses was to write business plans. And a business plan essentially is a roadmap for a business. You know, how to start off your business. But because I was able to research, I knew how to research data, analyze it, and write so people could understand the business or product idea. I thought that that could be something that I could do and start off with part-time. So a business plan really gives the entrepreneur or business owner, helps them figure out who their customers are, what problem they're solving, how much money they'll need starting off in the business, or what kind of equipment to buy. Are you going to do a retail store? Are you going to do it online? Are you going to provide a service? So that was what I was able to do for different businesses. And it was, you know, I was able to use the skills that I had built up to be able to work part-time on my own as I could to do that kind of consulting. And actually now I'm still doing that with this. I do consulting work with the with this SBDC, which I mentioned before, and I'm still doing that. Actually, I'm right in their office right now. So essentially, you never know how your education and your experience is going to come in handy someday. So I hope that some of you have been to the Riverwalk of Pueblo, historic Arkansas Riverwalk of Pueblo. This was my biggest business plan that I did. I was able to, I worked with the director and engineers and the people in the city, and we had to figure out what it was going to cost to operate the Riverwalk, how they were going to let people know about it, because think about it, this was just, you know, this was once again before social media. So there was, you know, how are you going to get out there and let people know what you're doing and bring them to the Riverwalk? And just like businesses in Walsenburg or Trinidad or La Veta, you know, their businesses also have to figure out how to pull people in and to have them stop, actually, because people are always zooming through Pueblo. So we want them to stop and see our beautiful Riverwalk. And then that led to me writing a book for the Riverwalk. It started with the 1921 flood, actually, and this was the original channel for the Arkansas River that became the Riverwalk. And in about 1990, a group of people got together and decided that they needed to go from a kind of a ditch with water running through it that was coming from the power plant as it came off of the Arkansas to, you know, a lot nicer situation, which, as you can see now just by that one picture, and if any of you have been here, it's so much nicer than it. I mean, it's beautiful now. I go down there and walk a couple of times a week. So the 1921 flood was a big, you know, a big event for Pueblo. A dike broke up on the Arkansas River, flooded this whole area here. It flooded another area called the Grove, the downtown Pueblo business area, and it ended up, and many people were killed, unfortunately, and business pretty much came to a stop. So they literally moved the channel of the Arkansas River about not even a mile away, farther south, and now it's that's where you see the actual Arkansas River coming down, but then the Riverwalk actually itself will, it comes down the this area here where the old river channel was. And there's a lot of interesting history about the Riverwalk, which I learned while I was doing the book and then working with them on other consulting work for marketing, because it had to, it has to do with the southern half of the Arkansas River was once owned by Spain, Mexico, and even the Republic of Texas. The north side was owned by France. And so eventually it all came together, obviously, in the state of Colorado as part of the United States. So so then once again, I was able to work because of my background and because of my education. So just remember, you're going to be learning things along the way that you might not think are important at the time, but it did really help me when I was sick and helped me pull out of not being able to work and get started working again. And as I said, I continue to enjoy doing my consulting work. But at about that time, I was finishing up the plan and doing other business plans. I was approached by my cousin's husband, Richard Cortese, who is he is the patent holder and designer of this hand truck that you see on the right. Most hand trucks, or a lot of people call them dollies, like this one here, just go back and forth, push and pull. People get hurt on their shoulders, their necks, their backs. This hand truck that we have is the only multi-directional hand truck available anywhere, really. I mean, I even have a guy in England that wants one right now, but there's, we're just too small to be shipping out of the country. But he actually wants to be a distributor in England for us because he sees the benefits of it. And then Richard, I can show you a little bit how he started the business here. And this is when I'm going to get that. And we can do a little bit of a video here.
My name is Richard Cortese, and I am the patent holder and designer of the 360 hand truck. I'm a graduate with a degrees in industrial arts woodworking. I came to a point where I was needing to transfer plywood to the backyard. Well, a 4x8 sheet of plywood, 3/4 of an inch, quite heavy. You could pull it out and get it around, but you couldn't maneuver it through the garage past all the equipment that I had set up. So I figured, why isn't there a hand truck that I could just pull it away from the wall, set it down, turn the wheels to go parallel, to load the hand truck and drive it out and take it around to the backyard. So that's basically the beginning of when I designed the hand truck.
Okay, I have to stop here a second because I'm trying to. So Richard asked me to work with him because of my business background. He obviously is the designer, and he designed projects all over the world, including something that was pretty cool, like doing the heating and air conditioning unit on the monorail in Disney World. He worked in the Middle East. He was all over the world designing things, but this was just a practical thing and that's what happens most of the time when you start a business. You're solving a problem, and Richard solved a problem with designing the hand truck. And the hand truck took him almost 5 years to design. He actually, and for us to get started in business, he actually started with a wooden hand truck and figured it out when nobody else could. Other big companies have tried to do a multi-directional hand truck, but he was able to do that. So he asked me, as I said, to become involved with the company, and I thought the product was great. I took a leap to start the business, and luckily I had friends that I went to school with who helped me in the legal area, accounting and marketing, and they still help me to this day. So really, when the most thing to remember when you start a problem is that you will solve a problem, or your solution is better than your competitors, or that you communicate better than your competitors. And make sure when you're starting a business and you're doing it the right way, you get the licenses you need, you do your taxes, you try to hire the right people, which is not always easy, but you want to get those qualified people and good people and take care of your customers. And we actually have made changes and came up with new products because of customer suggestions. And you want to really listen and learn and never quit learning. When I started the business, there was no social media. We now sell our products online, have a good social media presence, but most importantly, treat others, our customers and people we work with respect, and we pride ourselves on great customer service. And so I'll just show you a little cute video of one of our products that was done by a local woman, actually, who's actually done, she goes back and forth between here in California and New York, and she's really talented, and she put this cute little animated video together for us. And we are proudly made in the United States. Everything's made here in Colorado. So here's another video that what we're using a lot of now is a comparison between yours and ours, and what people normally use when they're moving items and what their employees are using, and then what you can use and how you can prevent injuries with our product. So essentially, when you have a business, when you're in school, when you have a job, just keep listening and learning. Never quit learning. When I started the business, as I said before, no social media, phones weren't many computers. So it just affected, but communication is still one of the most important things in a business. So you communicate verbally or writing, if you're writing blogs, and we put our blogs out. Because we want to become that influencer, if you will, to for the industry, and we want to educate, and that's a big thing these days. Also, about any time when you have a great product, you want to educate people about it, and you want to educate how they can benefit from your product, and just some basic things like I'm on LinkedIn with. I'm on one of the safety groups, and so I learn from the people that are posting, and they can learn from me, and I use get as much safety information as I can, because moving items, you're always there's always a potential for injuries. But really, just keep learning, no matter what your career, keep learning new things. try not to use too much artificial intelligence because that's not really going to help you learn. You can learn things from it, but don't just use that, as it's becoming more and more popular, especially when you're in school now. You want to make sure you're doing your own research, because that's how you learn. And when you're in the working world, take a team first approach. You're always going to be working with people, whether you're working online from home, or if you're working in person or whatever, just make sure, or doing Zoom meetings, just make sure you're using a team approach. So, because work always goes better, and somebody's got your back too, as well as you should have somebody else's back. So essentially, how we are now educating our potential customers about our products. We do direct sales. That means sometimes just calling up someone that you think might be able to use your product. And so we've been working with a lot of safety managers and ergonomic managers. And ergonomics essentially is the study of keeping the body safe. And that's a simple way to put it, but that's how essentially what that is. And here's our website. I'll just click on that and you could see what we're doing there. Trying to get somebody's attention once again about reducing injuries, worker comp claims, saving labor. With our, we have the different products that you can click on the tabs. Just trying to, you have to continue to have your message out there. There's another video with somebody moving plywood, and we have our customers listed, some of our customers. And then this is on the bottom. These are testimonials, and you always want to get testimonials. No matter where you work. Actually, you can always just say Joe down the street uses our product, and and he's saved money. His nobody in his team was injured, and so people that are happy with your product, which luckily we've never had any complaints. We never had any products sent back to us, so that says a lot about our quality of the product. Anyway, so you always want to let everybody know about your customers and what they think about your product. And the other way, we also have an online distributor. We do networking with local groups, business associations, just through friends. Trade shows, we went to a trade show recently, ergonomics trade show in New Orleans, and we're able to meet as a little company, because we are small still, we're growing, but we're small, going against the big guys. So we were able to actually talk with our, with a lot of the big companies, and we continue to talk to them, and we're looking forward to moving in the next direction and growing more through the large companies now. And then, of course, social media, and also always Google My Business, Google Maps. We're on, of course, the hand truck company is on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, who I never thought I'd be on TikTok, but we're on there. YouTube, that's where we set our videos. So those are pretty much, that's been my career and how we ended up where we are. And I just have to continue to learn, because things are changing all the time. And so that is probably my best advice I can give to everybody, is to two things: continue learning and treat everybody with respect. So thank you once again for inviting me.